Charisma, track 11, Charisma, track 11, track 11, Charisma. Prepare to hear it at the original pitch. So it's written at this pitch, slowed down during the writing, and then rewritten to fit the mix for the slow version. So halfway through, I'm like, slow it down, listen to it back. Certain things need to be turned up and down in terms of EQ because you're slowing the whole thing down. The whole spectrum slows down. Anyway, original pitch, Charisma, built around this EMU Emulator 2, Emulator 3 dance library. This and Zero-G Data File, two of the biggest dance, late 80s, early 90s dance record sample sources. Sort of playing at the libidinal, the kind of hedonistic best thing that house does. And I always thought it sounded like driving game music, Gran Turismo, Daytona, this kind of like sports. The first preset from Pro 5.3. Classic Prophet 5 sync lead, so a envelope modulated B waveform sync to A, producing those overtones. These hits, this kind of like very macho, but quote unquote macho. No sound effects layers on this one. This is just straight up riffs and stabs. And the stop sample. Again from Emulator 3 Dance 2000 library. Contact 4 takes a while to start up, which is why I don't use it. Here we go. So yeah, these are the the samples from the Emulator 3 Dance library, which are not included with the project because I do not own them as samples, but as stems they are exported. Coming up to the pop. Here comes the wink. I think I stole that from Alphabet Head. I saw him do it at a show once, along with his backing track, make a pop sound. And I was like, oh man, that's so good. So, apologies and gratitude to David. Alphabet Head being the turntablist, musician extraordinaire, much more skilled than I at all things music. Miss you, buddy. A little bit of wave station in the background for a bit of texture. And these Alan Parsons project. Where do we go from here now that all of the children are growing up? So accentuating on that end part, there's like a lower octave, which when it's slowed down to, I think it might be 4 semitones, something like that. Here is the, as I'm working through, there are all these different exports of the tune, so maybe we can work backwards. So there's a track called Slow Master. So I would export it and then re-import it into this zone, move it along and just see. Yeah, I think I'd already found the pitch. So yeah, if we hear it back from the last export, so there's no dilly-dallying in terms of which slow pitch it is. And this was just before I discovered Vaporwave, but the idea that things could be sped up and slowed down as the master was something I'd already been thinking about. Oh, and these actually run in terms of versioning. So this version is the 3rd, 4th, 5, 6. So it is actually going left to right, going from oldest to newest. You can see the master getting more and more crunchy, and then a little less crunchy. And also with the slowing down stuff, in general, you want the mastering to be on so that the master effects are running at the rate after which you slow them down. It just makes it punchier. Yeah, the idea of especially with vaporwave and stuff is that you're not only listening to slowed down music, you listen to slowed down mastering, so that any dynamic processing happens at the rate pre-slowdown. I mean, you might want to tweak it afterwards, but what you're hearing is the interaction of the waveforms and everything else with respect to the release and attack times of the master at the original pitch. I feel like that's very important. But yeah, the tune was pretty fully formed, and one of the last songs I added on the album, and in the original sort of sketches, it was at this playback rate. Because I wanted this kind of sports ending to it, but then once it sort of slowed it down, it managed to fit in with everything else. So yeah, so the end result is this kind of thing. And I like that the slowing down effect, and this is all throughout Vaporwave, all throughout the whole conversation, is that the voice, it does something to the gender attributes of the voice. You've suddenly got something that's a little less male nor female. It's more androgynous, more sort of technologized. I like that sound. Not that I'm necessarily not cisgendered, but the idea that there is this field for comment on sound as identity in music, and that it shows us other identities and new ways of thinking, and supports, different expressions of different viewpoints and identities. It's very important to me. Plus, I think about this stuff way too much. But this is what music does for me. This kind of idea that sort of transforms the reality for the benefit of the listener. And it's slowed down to like a hip hop tempo at this point. Claps, everything comes fatter. There's something that it feels like once it's slowed down, it's a bit more on fire. It's like something sort of slowly burning away. It's like a fire you can't stop, baby. So as you can hear in the slowed down version, these guitar stabs from heavy metal in Chord Game 1 and a synth 1 power chord, like we did with Drop the Bomb. It's just a fifth up. These stabs come in much better when they're slowed down. Now it sounds too fast, of course, because we've heard it on the slowed down version, but that's what you get. This is the mind-warping things about messing with master pitch. One thing I do like is that the car horn hit has a nice sort of transient click at the start of it. It's very medial sampling. Don't know if we can see the waveform. Do I remember the word contact? There's kind of a click. It sounds like an old Akai 950 or that sort of thing, or in Sonic EPS or Akai MPC 60. This kind of like clicky, sort of crappy lo-fi sample sound. Melody-wise, this little lick that I always tend to do. So yeah, this kind of A section, and then a sort of variation in the A section, and then a sort of B C section. Up to the C section. And we take it all the way up to that F in the octave. And also accentuated by the promo video that we did for it, that we shot my partner Chris's hands doing this kind of product shots. It's like this sort of macho advertising sort of aesthetic where it's like, it feels like you're being sold something. It feels like an ad for like a, like an aftershave or like an action park, a racing park, or like a, I don't know, some sort of motorbike steakhouse. Also, during writing this, I thought a lot about like my buddy Wade's website. He had a thing called Rugby Techno where you could add classic techno tracks back to modern rugby footage. It's probably gone by now, but the idea of Rugby Techno is this kind of like you'd see a lot of rugby footage with the sort of pop house to Unlimited, or this kind of not Ace of Base. There's this sort of sports techno idea. That it's sort of a quite non-macho genre presented as macho. Yeah, as I mentioned in Hello World, this is the closing of the album, but it's like the reveal that the villain's still alive, or like the story's not over. Ending on a lot of energy and a lot of kind of fire. And that's Charisma. And that's the album Charisma by Disasteradio, 2010, 2011. When was it? 2010. Yep.